get started. We have a big program today, and we know you're going to really enjoy it. So if everyone can take their seats, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, I say good morning. I'm Candy Davis. I'm the regent of the Mary Ellen Robertson chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution, and we're your hosts today for this program. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of our nation, the United States of America Vietnam War Commemoration, and DAR, we want to thank you for coming today and join us in thanking and honoring our Vietnam veterans and their families. Since the launch of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War commemoration in 2012, the Daughters of the American Revolution have been a committed commemorative partner, vowing to meet the primary objective to thank and honor Vietnam veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice. With over 2,000 DAR chapters, 51 state societies, and the National Society as commemorative partners, DAR is the commemoration's largest and strongest partner, logging nearly 10,000 events to date. We hope this program today will be special for you and your families. One of our members had the vision for this event over a year ago, and she has worked tirelessly every day since then to make this happen. Without her dedication and passion for honoring our Vietnam veterans, we would not be here today. Let me introduce Juanita LeBaron.
Good morning. I am Juanita LeBaron, the chairman of Services to Veterans Committee with the Mary Ellen Robertson chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. It is my pleasure to welcome you all here today. To all of our veterans, thank you for your service. To all of our Vietnam veterans, welcome home, and thank you for your service. In 2017, the President proclaimed March 29th as Vietnam War Veterans Day. Yesterday was the 7th anniversary of Vietnam War Veterans Day. Today we are here to thank and honor these veterans. It is my pleasure now to welcome our MC for our program, Dr. Wade Winker. Dr. Winker is also a veteran who served in the U.S. Navy as a dentist. Dr. Winker has held many leadership positions with the American Dental Association. He was appointed to the Florida Board of Dentistry by the governor in 2007 and again in 2011. He has served as the board director of Hand in Hand Recovery of Lake County for the past 10 years and served as president for 4 years. Please help me welcome Dr. Wade Winker.
Good morning. We have a very full program today, so I'm going to repeat the announcement I made earlier. If you have a seat open next to you, would you please raise your hand right now? If you're looking for seats, come forward and grab them. Keep the hands up for just a minute. Thank you. I don't see anybody moving, but we do have some open seats, so thank you. I am an American fighting in the forces that guard my country and our way of life. I am prepared to give my life in their defense. We each stood in a room in front of the American flag, raised our right hand, and took this oath to begin our military service. The oath goes on to say, I will never forget that I am an American fighting for freedom, responsible for my actions, and dedicated to the principles which made my country free. I will trust in my God and in the United States of America. You'll have to forgive us if we get a little excited when people disrespect our country, our way of life, and especially the symbol of the freedom and liberty we enjoy in our country, our flag. We also get a little touchy when efforts are made to weaken the world's premier defense system. To share the invocation this morning, George Wanberg. George is a Vietnam veteran of the Marines and a past chaplain of the state of Florida Marine Corps League. Mr. Wanberg was inducted into the Florida Veterans Hall of Fame in Tallahassee in November 2018. Please rise for the invocation.
Before I pray, I would like to thank my brothers and sisters, Vietnam veterans. You guys are very special. And just for people who don't know, the reason why we say welcome home, and most of you do, is because we were never welcome home. And so it's our call sign. It brings us together no matter what branch we fought in. So if you'd bow your heads, please. Father, we just thank you for this beautiful gift of a day that you've given us. I thank you for everyone who has and will make this event possible. I thank you for the DAR and what they do for our veterans across the nation, and I especially thank Juanita. She's done a marvelous job. Well, I also want to thank our special guest speakers and all the dignitaries we have. And also, I want to thank each and every veteran for what you've done for our nation. And above all, Father, we just give you all the praise and we give you all the glory. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing. At this time, I'd like to ask the cadets from the Civil Air Patrol to present the colors. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red clear, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
At this time, I'd like to invite Betsy Chandler to the microphone to join the Lake County Concert Band in America the Beautiful. Thank you, Betsy. How about a hand for her and the Lake County Concert Band? You may be seated. We are honored to be joined this morning by Florida's representative to the United States House. Congressman Daniel Webster is here to present a congressional proclamation.
Well, thank you for letting me come today. It's really an awesome group. And thank you for what you've done, for serving, for sacrificing, for giving yourselves so that we could be free. And so from the United States Congress, if others were here, they'd say the same thing. Thank you for what you've done. So we owe you a debt, a big debt, a debt we can never repay. And this is just one way we can try. Having an event like this and telling you how much you're appreciated. So, as been said, a lot of people have done a lot of things that weren't right. This is one that's right. And it's a way we can say, welcome home. Great to see each of you. Thank you for letting me be here today. Thank you for letting me be a part of this fantastic ceremony. And thank you for the crowd that's come. This is really just awesome that you've come. This is fantastic. So welcome home, and may God bless each of you for coming today and for being a part of saving America, making it strong. To God be the glory. Thank you.
Next, we are joined by Leesburg City Commissioner Allison Berry for another presentation.
Good morning. In absence of our city mayor, Mr. Jimmy Berry, I'm honored to be here to read the proclamation. Whereas on March 29, 1973, the last American troops were withdrawn from South Vietnam, ending military involvement in the war, and whereas during the Vietnam War era, more than 3.4 million American men and women were deployed to Southeast Asia, with more than 58,000, making the ultimate sacrifice. Over 303,000 were wounded, and 1,577 are still unaccounted for, including 54 from the state of Florida. And whereas, due to the unpopularity of the war, Vietnam veterans returned home to a country split by bitter divisions and often faced harsh treatment unbefitting the bravery with which they applied and honorably answered their country's call to serve. And whereas the 2008 National Defense Authorization Act authorized the Secretary of Defense to conduct a program to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War and presidential proclamations issued May 25th, 2012, November 20th, 2017, and March 28, 2022, extended the United States of America Vietnam War commemoration through Veterans Day 2025. And whereas in 2017, the Vietnam War Recognition Act was signed into law, designating March 29th of each year as National Vietnam Veterans Day. National Vietnam War Veterans Day. And whereas this official commemoration provides an opportunity to solemnly honor the veterans in the Vietnam War, along with their families, for their service and sacrifice on behalf of the United States. Now therefore, I, James A. Berry, Jr., Mayor of the City of Leesburg, Florida, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2024 as National Vietnam Veterans Day in the City of Leesburg. Encourage all citizens to recognize our Vietnam veterans and their families and offer our respect and profound gratitude for their service in our great nation. Thank you.
At this time, we welcome Carolyn Pancala and Kirk Goad to the microphone to sing Veterans of the USA.
Carolyn, I want to say thank you. The phrase is so simple and the words are so few, but behind it all lies a world of appreciation. We appreciate you, and we wrote this song for the veterans of the USA. We haven't forgotten the price you paid. You've given us the freedom that we enjoy today. And every day I thank my God for sending those like you who cared for the future and the dreams of me and you. Oh yeah.
For you,
The red is for the blood, the blue is for the bruise, the white is for the eyes who fought for me and you. So we lift our hearts today, Lord, filled with gratitude and praise for the veterans of the USA. We thank the families who gave the precious gifts. The cause was greater than all their fears. And when the flag waves high, our hearts are filled with pride. You're the reason America's still alive, yeah.
yes you are.
The red is for the blood, the blue is for the bruise, the white is for the eyes of me and you. So we lift our hearts today, filled with gratitude and praise for the veterans of the USA. And I know there's so many of you standing with all of us today. We take this moment, we really do say thank you for freedom in the USA. The red is for the blood, the blue is for the bruise, the white is for the eyes of me and you. So we lift our hearts today, filled with gratitude and praise for the veterans of the USA. The red is for the blood, the blue is for the bruise, the white is for the eyes of me and you. So we lift our hearts today, filled with gratitude and praise for the veterans of the
Wow. Wow. Our first speaker today is General Tim Sullivan. General Sullivan received an Army commission at the Citadel following a stellar military career during which he was highly decorated, and he continues his proud service as a proud member of the Florida Army National Guard. General Sullivan and his wife are friends to me and my family here in Leesburg and wonderful contributors to Leesburg and Lake County. General Sullivan.
Let me adjust the podium. Can everybody hear me out there? No? I can tell some, oh boy, I see some people I know in the back that are frowning at me, so. I'll bring on my command voice. How about that? I'm really, truly honored to be here today. It takes a long time to write a 10-minute speech, believe it or not, and you'll be thankful that it's only 7.5 minutes long. So, but before I go on, I want to recognize my spouse and recognize all the spouses and families, because the hardest job in any military career is taken on by the family. So thank you for being here today and putting up with that. Now, Dr. Winkler did a great job of introducing me, kept it short and sweet, so that bought me some more time, so I may take some of that 7.5 minutes back, okay? You know, what my resume doesn't tell you about me is that I always considered myself a citizen soldier, called to serve my country as part of my duties as a member of this great country. Now, it does not tell you that I did 2 tours of combat for Afghanistan and Iraq, and it does not tell you my most important job I ever had was as a general officer. I present the flags to the families of soldiers killed in combat. So I did that over a dozen times, so I feel like I'm kind of qualified to get up here and talk today, okay? So, you know, I can't talk about my service during Vietnam because I was too young, but I'm going to speak about all the great Americans from this, I should be speaking about all the great Americans from this community alone who served their country with honor during Vietnam. But to include a Medal of Honor recipient. But if I did that, then I'd probably miss somebody, and I would probably make somebody else mad because I didn't mention another person. But so I'm just going to talk from my heart, tell you my experience, and tell you how you as Vietnam veterans influenced the all-volunteer Army that I got to serve in for 33 years. So here goes. Vietnam, as Allison pointed out, was engaged from February 61 until May of 75. At its peak, there were more than 540,000 people, soldiers, airmen, Marines, in the area of operation. And as stated earlier, more than 3 million men and women served during that war effort. As you know, over 58,000 gave the ultimate sacrifice, and over 300,000 were wounded in some way, shape, or form. And at last count, she is right, there's over 1,570 that are still unaccounted for, and 54 of those we know are from the state of Florida. Now, here's some personal observations. Vietnam veterans represent the largest cohort of American veterans in terms of service. Only Afghanistan was longer than Vietnam, and nowhere close to the numbers that went on. But Vietnam veterans were probably the most maligned war veterans in American history. And some of that is because we brought war to the television screens of everybody right in their own living room. For me personally, at the ripe age of 13, I could put a face on some of those numbers that were presented across the television screen. My oldest brother's roommate from the Citadel was a helicopter pilot who got killed KIA in Vietnam. My next oldest brother, who was a veteran of Vietnam, served on the USS Coral Sea and the USS Enterprise. His squadron commander, who I had the honor of meeting, and as a 13-year-old, I was impressed by, you know, the Navy pilot thing and that kind of stuff. But he also lost his life in Vietnam. So let's see. So what's my point in sharing this story? And I didn't realize how maligned Vietnam Veterans were until 2002. 2002, I went back to my alma mater, the Citadel, and my brother, the Vietnam veteran, joined me there. And during one of the ceremonies, they asked all wartime veterans to stand up and be recognized. You know, it's my first tour in the desert, but my brother, who's standing next to me, says to me, he goes, wow. He said, it's been 33 years, and that's the first time I was ever recognized for my service in Vietnam. Think about that, 33 years. So, like I said, my point here today is to point out that not all Americans viewed your service negatively, and it had a profound impact in many ways. And most importantly, it changed the institutions that ran the Vietnam War. For instance, what happened in 1973? We went to an all-volunteer army. We did away with the draft. So now, what else happened during that time? You might have heard of a gentleman named General Creighton Abrams. He was the last commanding general in Vietnam. He left that position and went on to be the chief of staff, the highest ranking general in the United States Army. He developed a doctrine. That's called the Abrams Doctrine. And while it took 20 to 25 years to implement his goal, it was to make sure that if the United States went to war, that it did not do so on the backs of nameless and faceless soldiers drafted into service. And most of all, if the Army and the military went to war, that it would be supported by the American public. So when we deploy today, it is no longer a nameless and faceless soldier. It is someone probably you know. For instance, I am one of those. We totally integrated. In 1992, what happened in the military? We cut it 35% across the board. So we could no longer look the other way. We had to get integrated. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all picked up their missions and all started coordinating across all levels, not only active duty, but National Guard and reserves. So with all that downsizing, we had to pick our resources and resource all services at all levels to make them ready to go to war. That was tested during Afghanistan and Iraq, and it was a tremendous success. So, having said that, on behalf of all the soldiers, sailors, Marines who were beneficiaries of the doctrinal and institutional changes brought about by the lessons learned in Vietnam and carried out by an all-volunteer force, let me thank you for your service during that period of time. But most importantly, thank you on behalf of a nation for your courageous, loyal, and dedicated service during the Vietnam era, and welcome home.
We are joined again by Carolyn and Kirk. Please enjoy God Bless the USA.
Thank God for sisters, they know which microphones to use. If you know it, sing it with us. We look at audience participation. If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked all my life, and I had to start again, which is my children and my wife. I thank the Lord above to be living here today. The flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. Sing it with me. And I thanks for the price you paid. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit to Dallas, from New York to LA. There's power in every American heart. It's time to stand up and say, and I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm gladly stand up next to you and defend you still today. There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be in America, where at least I know I'm free. That's it. Who won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll proudly stand up next to you and defend her. There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
When I listen to that song, I'm 100% certain that if Mr. Greenwood wrote that song again, it would include the women who served as well. Our final speaker for the day is Major General David Kaufman. Born and raised in Eustis, General Kaufman graduated with honors from Duke University. Are they still in the tournament? Yeah, I think. Yeah, all right, there you go. Then served his country as a Marine officer for 34 years. He is a highly decorated combat wounded veteran and has demonstrated a passion for leading in tough times, how to thrive in chaos and after. I met General Kaufman 32 years ago, and I was a reserve lieutenant in the United States Dental Corps at the time. It was an honor and a humbling experience working out with him one day. I thought I was in really good shape, and it wasn't his intention, but Captain Kaufman quickly demonstrated the difference in the fitness of a line officer in the U.S. Marines and a support officer of the U.S. Navy Dental Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, General Kaufman.
There you go. You gotta get that in there. I didn't think we were going to do Tim, I didn't think we were going to do a lot of service jokes. But once they started doing the flags, it all started coming back to me. I was asking Sheriff Grinnell, he's a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, and he knew the answer too. I said, hey, Sheriff, what do they call a Marine with 150 IQ? And he said, a platoon. It's great to be here with you. I think we should have done the music and gone home, because nobody's going to top that. Fabulous job to all our musicians and singers. My gosh. My goodness. Let me tell you, it's great to be here and part of Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans. And let me tell you how I got here. Some years ago, when America was first getting involved in Southeast Asia, I was born just up the road in Eustis, and I told Juanita the turnout was so good I had to park in Eustis and walk to get into the event today. I am a proud graduate of Eustis Public Schools, Eustis High School class of 1981. Go Panthers. Thank you, Bubba. While I was in high school, the American Legion Post, as we did, sponsored me to go to Boys State in Tallahassee. I remember hundreds of teenage boys during that week standing together and chanting, USA, USA, USA. and we meant it. We were proud of our hometowns, proud of our state, happy to be young men, I said young men, and proud to be Americans. Then in the summer of 1981, I left Eustis for Duke University and took my first oath of office as a midshipman 4th class, nothing lower than that, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I remain bound to that oath from midshipman to major general for the next 38 years. Along the way, as Wade mentioned, I learned a lot about war fighting, about leadership, about life, how to thrive in chaos and after, particularly since my Alive Day, as the guys called them during our fighting years, on the 5th of July, 2004, when I was seriously injured with an ironic twist by getting myself shot while flying a casualty evacuation mission in central Iraq. And it was through my own injury and recovery experience, and really across that heavy fighting from 2001 on to my retirement, that I got to see Vietnam vets in action. Not in their chaos of Vietnam or the chaos of American society during that era, but after, as they rose to the occasion to take care of us. They applauded our returns from deployment. They sat with our wounded in the hospitals. And yes, they paraded our dead to the cemetery. Seems to me, individually and collectively, they had vowed that never again would our country do to its veterans what it had done to them. And so I vowed I would never do a veterans event or public speaking gig like this without calling them out and specifically and intentionally thanking them. Well, today I get to do that as the main point of the whole speech. This is very important for me personally and professionally, and I'm just delighted to be a part of it and so proud that it's happening like this here in Lake County where I grew up. Now, I should say I confirmed with Juanita that the uniform of the day was Florida casual. I see some people overdressed a little bit. And I also ensured that, I always send both pictures, I ensured she was not getting the active duty Marine General me, but instead, this me, the happy old retired guy. There's a little bit of difference. I got to tell you, as you should know, many of you, retirement doesn't suck. In fact, I just spent most of this last week, Bob, up at the lake going after those world-famous Florida springtime largemouth bass. I will not tell you which lake. And I only fully, my wife's not here so I can get away with this, I only fully showered and partially shaved, not too good a job, last night because I had this event, or I'd look even better. Anyway, I hope you'll overlook or maybe appreciate my appearance and still consider that I am speaking, as Tim covered so well, for a lot of Marines and a lot of servicemen of my generation who have encountered the Vietnam-era veterans that we honor today, and like me, will remain forever grateful for your honor, courage, and commitment. So thank you for your service. Welcome home. Thank you for helping my generation return with honor. We are proud of you and proud to call you fellow warriors for the cause of freedom. Now let me just give you a couple minutes about thriving in chaos and after. As I mentioned, back in 2004, I was commanding officer of Marine Helicopter Squadron in central Iraq. Our primary mission was casualty evacuation, flying in to get the wounded and get them off the battlefield and into medical care. Needless to say, we would go anywhere, anytime, in any weather, against any enemy threat to get them. It's an awesome mission. During the course of that work, I came to realize that when we swooped in to pick up a badly injured soldier or Marine, we didn't carry an individual. we carried the hopes, dreams, and connections of an entire extended family, a community of friends and neighbors back home. Someone's son, brother, sweetheart, high school teammate, hometown hero. In the business of warfighting, this connection between the American people and the service members they send in harm's way is always described as a weakness, or critical vulnerability, we call it. Let's just get them shot up, they'll quit. Let's break them apart. Let's destroy the fabric of the society that's sending these young people to bleed and die. But you know, it's also our greatest strength. C.K. Chesterton reminds us the true soldier fights not because he hates what's in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. And I would also add, beside him, his teammates. That connection between military service and the society it protects was challenged, and many would say broken, during the years the veterans we honor today were in uniform. I believe the Vietnam War commemoration we're part of today is a noble effort to heal those wounds, and better late than never, honor those who served in that challenging period of our nation's history. As I learned at Duke in my poli-sci degree, the Vietnam War in that era is still the fundamental breakpoint for post-war America. We still can't figure it out. We still can't see in the mirror who are we? What did it tell us about ourselves? What are we about as a country? To honor the vets, before I turn to them and talk to them directly for a minute, I want to talk to the rest of us a little bit. I want to tell you a little bit about how to honor these veterans and how to help them. First, how to honor a veteran's service. There are positive and negative examples. I've studied 5,000 years of human history and military history. There are positive and negative examples throughout about how to return warriors and how returning warriors' service and sacrifice has to be honored. What they had to do, including awful violence to others, sanctioned by their superiors in their country, must be accounted for, must be, in a way, forgiven or expunged in order to set them up for successful reintegration into a peaceful society. In essence, their service must be validated. Validated. And to be effective, this validation must be, one, substantive, purposeful, not cursory, meaningful to the returning warrior and to the community that's accepting them back. Two, it must be institutional. Our front row helps us with that today. The validation must come from those in power and authority. I see you, I recognize what you did, and I validate your service for this country. And finally, three, it must be memorial, meaning the validation must be lasting and spiritually meaningful. I was taught my Marines that what you do, Marines, or fail to do in combat is forever. Forever. A big part of validation of our returning warriors is simply that, a memorialized, well done. You were pulled apart from society to serve. You did what you were told to do. We are grateful, and we will remember your sacrifice forever. And if those veterans are struggling, which is likely, if those veterans are struggling, which is likely, let me give you some tips on how to help them into post-traumatic growth. These are taken from Dr. Jonathan Shea's Steps to Recovery, built on his experience with Vietnam veterans. One, help them establish safety, sobriety, and self-care. You have to start there. Are you okay? Is a pretty good question. Are you okay? 2, help them construct a personal narrative and grieve. Hear their story with interest and respect and sympathy, not judgment. And 3, help them reconnect to people, communities, ideals, and new ambitions. Those who thrive in chaos and after are well anchored in people, place, and purpose. Now, let me turn to the stars of the show, and I'll come back to the rest of us briefly before I close. Vietnam era vets. I'm going to tell you about yourself a little bit here. Here's what you know. You know and appreciate what freedom means. For those who fight for it, freedom has a special taste. The protected will never know. It's one thing we got on you guys. For those who fight for it, freedom has a special taste. The protected will never know. Having set aside your personal freedoms to serve under oath in uniform, you understand just how wonderful it is to get in your truck and drive, to go to church Sunday where you want, to go see your kids and grandkids play sports, to live regular life in security and prosperity. You know, vets, that every American of every color and ethnicity and creed and background that took the oath to defend our Constitution bled the same red blood. And that diversity of background and talent and approach is a strength if there is trust across the team. You know how to lead those teams to mission success in the most challenging environments. And having learned that, you have returned to your hometowns to try and teach it to everyone else. This is very important, gang. To use the word my friend Theo Bob taught me, I am sober about our heritage. In other venues, like Mayor Bubba at Eustis First Vet Celebration last year, I've been given even longer to describe my all-American upbringing in Eustis. Wouldn't trade it for nothing. But I know veterans from Eustis that couldn't do the things I did growing up because they were, as we say in the Marine Corps, a darker shade of green. But those veterans, God bless you guys, are with me in teaching that your heritage is what you got. And everybody's heritage, from family to hometown to state, and yes, to USA. USA is a mixed review. All have sinned. But here's the good part. Your legacy is what you leave. And that transition from heritage to legacy is the story you write every day of your life. And I am certain that veterans, your generation and mine, are ready to lead in this challenging area to help restore the harmony of the Republic. You veterans know that people sleep peacefully in their beds tonight only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. American greatness, it's just a fact. American greatness, this is a fact. American greatness and the American way of life will only last as long as we can find such rough men. Be forgiving of those rough old bastards. We needed them. You needed them. You needed them. And you rough men and women, you veterans know what Hemingway learned in his own experience in war, and he wrote like this. It's so beautiful. The world breaks everyone. And afterward, many are strong at the broken places. But those that will not break, it kills. It kills the very good and the very gentle and the very brave impartially. And this is almost with a laugh. If you are none of these, you can be sure it will kill you too, but there'll be no special hurry. Every veteran has scars. Your service has changed you forever in ways good and bad and measurable and mysterious. You veterans know that freedom is not free because you paid the price, and probably have seen some of your buddies pay the ultimate price, often those very good or very gentle, and especially those very brave, gone too soon. You veterans know what Jesus taught, that greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. And here's what I think you've done. Whether drafted or volunteer, you took an oath like I did and did your best to serve your country in a difficult time. For the most part, you returned to a country that did not understand or appreciate that sacrifice and had largely broken its promise to care for its veterans and their families. Tim covered the institutional part in the Army and the Marines. Everybody did that, said we got to get unscrewed, and I think did over the generation that you and I have served. There's another part of that that you touched on. I'll amplify it a little bit more, because this is what you also did. Undaunted, and to be fair, not the first generation of veterans that had to force the government and country to uphold its bargain. My grandfather's World War I generation comes to mind that founded many of the organizations you belong to. You took on the challenge of building a network of veterans, helping veterans, and holding our communities and our country to account for how it treated our vets. Again, I say thank you for that work. It was the foundation for everything we've done in support of the 9/11 generation. But wait, because I know you guys are old, right, Bob? I know you guys are old, but not done. Here's what I think you've still got to do. Don't quit on me now. I think it's increasingly apparent that the so-called global war on terrorism has ended, not with a bang, but a whimper. And so, incredibly, now that 9/11 generation, have we forgotten 9/11? The 9/11 generation, my guys! My guys are left like you, wondering why they went to those god-awful places and why some of them didn't come back. And if anybody even gives a shit about it. So, you've got to go to work again. We've all got to go to work again. Now to help those guys who thrived in the chaos of Iraq and Afghanistan and elsewhere make sense of their service as they come back into a nation that regrettably, I've heard it. Does this sound familiar, gang? Increasingly, a nation that considers them in their service somewhere on the continuum from naive to ignorant to evil. We've got to help them thrive back here at home. Now, for all of us, our community, our country, beyond the recognition and recovery advice I gave earlier, here's my charge to you. Here's what I hope you take beyond this fabulous special recognition of our Vietnam veterans and on to standing orders, and I'll move quick and close. First, let's follow George Washington's advice. If you want peace, prepare for war. Your country depends on it. We had Rep. Webster here today. Tell him our other representatives, Senator Scott, Senator Rubio, that you support America having the biggest, baddest, most kick-ass military on the planet. That's my answer. And help me out. Make sure, remind them that the Constitution directs that they provide and maintain a Navy. It'd be nice to have one of those again. Then do your best to ensure that our leaders, military and civilian, train, deploy, and employ that magnificent military effectively and in worthwhile endeavors that further our nation's interests. These are not forever wars, but forever vigilant. Next, grow up the next generation of veterans. Some of them are here. Those guys. I understand the youngsters running around Lake County today will not live what I lived here in the 1970s. They might be better for it. They'll be writing their own story from heritage to legacy. But we will only have our country as long as kids from Central Florida think it worth bleeding and dying for. And you are going to make that happen in your families, churches, schools, neighborhoods. This was mentioned earlier. It's on my list too. Please, please, please honor the flag and the country your veterans defended and died for. Further, I implore you, do not insult us by suggesting that we were naive or stupid or evil for putting on a uniform and obeying the orders the political leaders you elected gave us. To obey the enlisted man's oath, to obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me. They are sworn to do it. If you don't like what they're doing, get voting, start calling, and get them employed in the right and righteous ways. Do not dishonor our sacrifice by suggesting that our country is not worthy of such commitment. I've had people tell me that. It's not worth it. Don't pity us. Don't ever pity a veteran. No matter our scars, we are proud of what we did. The Marines would say, your freedom, my life, without complaint. That's why they're the best our country has. That's why we honor these tough American veterans. When they come home, you're doing it today, let's keep it rolling. Welcome veterans into this community. We've got a number of terrific vet-focused organizations here in Central Florida, many of them visible here today. If you have power, elected officials, or money, rich people, or time, bored people, help them out. Listen to these folks. They're here amongst you. They can give you specific ways to help the tens of thousands of veterans in our area, and especially the ones having trouble getting stronger in the broken places, to help them take their traumatic experience and turn it into post-traumatic growth. And when you do that, that reconnection, that interaction, here we go, validates their service and sacrifice. Validation that is substantive, more than a flippant thank you. Institutional, we're shooting on that target with this National Vietnam War commemoration effort. And memorial, again, meaning sacred. Sacred, meaning forever recognized amongst the long line of veterans that have paid the price for America's security and prosperity. Finally, your last task, citizens of Central Florida, listen closely. It was my great privilege and my job for 34 years as a commissioned officer and leader of Marines to make the enemy pay a high price for the blood of our youngsters. It is your job to make this country a fitting home for such heroes. And in so doing, you'll ensure that the connection between American society and its veterans remains not a critical vulnerability, tremendous strength. I'll close and thank you for your patience. Like I said, this is really an important opportunity for me. It's the best one I've had so far. I'm looking for more. Best one I've had to just flat out say thank you, gang, for what you did. We are on your shoulders as this generation, and now again, a retired guy trying to pass it on the line. Let me turn back to those vets just for a moment. In the few years now I've been retired, I've had lots of time to reflect on my long career in the Marine Corps and all the crazy stuff I did and all the crazy Marines and sailors I did it with, and of course to have my regrets of so many things I didn't do right, and my nightmares of bad days, missions gone sour, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and my grief at those lost along the way, and my doubts to whether any of it mattered at all. And I continue to try to turn my post-traumatic stress into post-traumatic growth and get stronger in the broken places. I can hardly believe that I put on that Navy ROTC ice cream uniform for the first time over 40 years ago, or that it's coming up on 20 years since I lived, because that AK-47 round hit the last quarter-inch of my body armor instead of quarter-inch higher. So, fellas, I do have some idea of what it must be like to be sitting there, thinking back. I was telling the guys before we started, I'm thinking back 40 and 50. Some of y'all are thinking back 50, 60, 70 years ago, back to your youth, when there was this thing called the Vietnam War. And you better believe it was snafu, situation normal, all fouled up. And some days, even FUBAR. Fouled up beyond all recognition. You are not alone. Beyond your own cohort of Vietnam-era veterans here, you are part of the long line of American patriots all the way back to the Revolution, going on 250 years now, who put on the cloth of the nation, went and did the often nasty work of warfighting, and returned home to try to make sense of it all and to enjoy the freedom and prosperity they fought to defend. I often use a beautiful quote from John A. Lejeune, Every Marine's Marine, to help my Marines understand how it would all work out in the end, how, if we got it right, their service in combat would come to make sense, how the ignorance and confidence of their youth would turn into the wisdom and humility of old age. I suspect, I hope, I pray that all you Vietnam veterans have made that turn, and like Lejeune predicts, have learned where the real glory of war lies. Lejeune wrote, "The spirit of man springs from divinity. It is the godlike quality in man, and through its workings in his heart," in the Marines we talk about transformation, a transformation is wrought. Buoyancy, courage, determination, forgetfulness of self, and wait for it, it's a big word, love. Love for his comrades, his country, and the organization to which he belongs dominate his whole being. This is your youth, this is your service. Lejeune then says, in afterlife, that is, as veterans like us here today, in afterlife, think back with me, vets. In afterlife, he remembers that period of unselfishness and exaltation. You got to understand this, civilians. it becomes the most sacred part of his life. And he glories in the hardship and suffering he endured, the dangers he faced, the difficulties he overcame, the sacrifices he made, and the courage he displayed. In these memories, and these only, lie the glory of war. Vietnam-era veterans, my prayer for you today is that you find the glory in your faithful service to this great country all those years ago, and in the wisdom and humility of old age, you are able to find peace and choose joy. We are proud of you. We honor you. Welcome home, warriors. Thank you.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when trouble come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I could stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. Well, I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. If you know it, sing it with me. You raise me up so I could stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. Well, I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can. Will you stand with me? Here we go. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. Well, I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up. You raise me up. You raise me up to more than I can be.
We now want to thank veterans from all different wars, and we're going to start with World War II because we have at least one World War II veteran in the audience with us today. Would you please rise? Colonel James Ed Towns. Thank you, sir. We're going to bring you up later. Cadets, I'm going to need you to divide and conquer. 3 that way and 3 that way. That's 4. 3 to the left. I need you over here. Over here. Thank you. Thank you.
That's good dental orders right there.
Thank you. Yeah. Speaking of dental orders, there's a whole lot of food back there. Most of it has sugar in it. The American Dental Association approves. Please help yourself. And no other World War II veterans in the room. That's a shame. But we're so glad you're here. Next, our veterans that served in Korea. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And those who served in Desert Storm. Next is those who served in Iraqi Freedom. Thank you all for your service. Now we're going to get down to the meat and potatoes with the Vietnam veterans. We've been overwhelmed by the local officials who wanted to be here to thank our Vietnam veterans and participate in recognizing them for their service. I'm going to bring them up so that they can greet all of the Vietnam veterans as they proceed. I did not mention Afghanistan as a separate campaign. Anyone who served in Afghanistan. Thank you, Carrie. All right, let's put it this way. If you served other than Vietnam, because we're going to get you in a second, anyone in the room that served that we did not recognize? Yes, sir. Grenada. Thank you. Thank you for your service. So, I would like to invite General Kaufman to join on the right side of the cadets. Just stay down there. We're going to set up a receiving line. Let me rephrase that. Would you kindly stay down there, sir? Okay, so right next to General Kaufman, I'd like to have Florida State Representative Taylor Yarkowski. And right next to him, I'd like to get our Sheriff, Peyton Grinnell. He had to leave. Then we're going to put the Supervisor of Election, Alan Hayes, in that spot. On the other side of the cadets, I would like to have Eustis City Commissioner Nan Cobb. And then I'd like to have Eustis Mayor Michael Holland. Mr. Holland, I need you on the other side of Ms. That'll work. That's fine. Okay. I can't see from over there. I'm focused in on this. Claremont Mayor Tim Murray. Claremont City Council Member Michael Gonzalez. Didn't make it. And Chuck Broadway was not able to make it either, our Claremont Police Chief. So over here on the right side, I would like to have General Sullivan. And right next to him, our Lake County property appraiser, Carrie Baker. Thank you, Juanita. You're in charge of the combined armed forces right now. Leesburg Police Chief Robert Hicks. Perfect timing, sir. Groveland City Council Member Dina Sewell. And there she is. Leesburg Fire Chief Joe Mira. Leesburg City Manager Al Minner. Leesburg City Commissioner Allison Berry. Chaplain George Wanberg. And Florida State Representative Keith Trunow. Keith, we'll put you right in here. I know you don't like Gary, but you know. Do we have any other elected officials in the room that have not been recognized? Again, I don't want to miss anybody. So the Vietnam Veteran Lapel Pin is what we'll be presenting today. And to be eligible, it's given to U.S. veterans who served on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces at any time between November of '55 and May of '75, regardless of location. The symbolism on it, there's an eagle. The eagle represents courage, honor, and dedicated service to our nation. As one of the most recognizable and notable American symbols, it is emblazoned on numerous military insignia. There's a blue circle on the outside. The color blue matches the canton of the American flag and signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice. There is a laurel wreath, a time-honored symbol representing honor and victory. Stripes. The stripes behind the eagle represent the American flag. The 6 stars represent the 6 allies who served, sacrificed, and fought alongside one another. The message on it is a grateful nation thanks and honors you. We will be presenting those pins to the Vietnam veterans as you process through the lines. The way we're going to do this, and we need an usher in the center aisle, because we're going to be bringing everybody to the center aisle to then come up, and if you're on the right side, you'll come to this line. If you're on the left side, you'll go to that line, and then right back to your seat. I think the easiest thing to do is going to be to take this section right here from the left first, and then we'll get this section over here. Free for all over there, okay? All right. So at this time, I would like to cue our bagpiper, and Vietnam veterans, our ushers will guide you to the receiving line. The event was fantastic, but overwhelming. We had so many veterans here today, and so many particularly Vietnam veterans here today, that people struggled to get parking. Good problem to have, but from the cadets that presented the colors, to having the Lake County concert band here, to the singers that we had, to the generals that spoke, everything was just fantastic and first rate from top to bottom. It's an honor for me to be part of an event like this, just like it was an honor for me to serve my country in the Navy years ago.